Welcome back to Bay One Customs. I've got my Jaguar engine all together now. This has been a brutal motor to put together. One, because the double chains and all and the timing of the distributor and all that is quite intricate, and it's got to be exactly on the money to make sure you got all that in place. And also, this motor has to be exactly the way it was originally. So I'm having to research what kind of bolt was there, what kind of nut was there, what kind of washer was under it. Some of these washers are copper washers, trying to find the proper fine thread. The nuts on the manifolds were actually brass. Then every piece you see here had to be polished. This valve cover was in horrible shape. This timing cover was in horrible shape. So I've had to polish each piece, paint the exact color gold down in here as well as down in here. The motor had to be black. The oil pan had to be an original cast color. So I actually blasted the oil pan. Then I put the Eastwood Products flat clear over top of it. I pickled it before I did that. If you'll pickle that aluminum before you put that clear on there, it stays on there pretty well. So a lot's going on with this engine. It ain't like you just throw it together and paint it. It has to be exactly the way it was. So got it together. It looks pretty good. I'll give you a quick little walk around to how it looks, and then we'll go to the back and I'll show you what the bumper fitment's coming like in John Bell Street Sleeper. So let me give you a closer look at this. Alright, you can see how detailed it is up there on top. That has to be an exact color. The manifolds are actually done in a porcelain. And there she is. All together. Looks pretty good, huh? Alright, let's go in the back and check out our bumper fitment. Well, I got the front of my bonnet all fit in place, and I've got my headlight bezels. I was able to take these and actually took the glass out of them first and laid the glass against the sheet metal hull frame and modified it so the glass fits just perfectly. Then I put these up there and set those in place and kind of tweaked on these a little bit and tweaked on the sheet metal and got these to fit perfectly. I did the same as well on my bumpers. Now I'm working on my back bumpers. And I'll take and put these up here. I'll actually bolt them completely, bolt every bolt completely tight and everything in place. And then I'll do some modifying on my body, like right here. My body's touching just a little bit right here from a little bit of a ding. Very easy to work it out right now. I can kind of tap that in, and once I get it fitting pretty close to contour, I can kind of adjust on this just a little bit before I set this out and have it chromed. Be a perfect fit on this car. And Once I get all my sheet metal fit and get this fit in place, then I'll actually do all my filler and skimming. I'm going to do a light little skim on here so I can really get it nice and slick. And then I'll come back one more time and make sure that this still fits after that skim coat is on, and do any adjustments that I need to do on this at that time. Then all my chrome will go to the chrome shop. And when I get my chrome back from my chrome shop, I know it'll fit. I've also done the same thing with my tail lights, my marker lights, my door, my trunk lid, my gas door. Every single piece of sheet metal work gets fit at this point. Then we do our skim, then check it, and then send it all out for chrome. Once I get this in place, I'm going to get my convertible top down, make sure it fits, and then we're off to doing body work. Meanwhile, on my street sleeper, I've got it right over here in primer, so let me give you a look at how the priming and the work's coming on our 600 horsepower street sleeper. Alright, back here on our street sleeper, we're doing a paint complete color change. So you see some of the process we went through. You have to paint the jambs under the hood. We painted the engine bay before we put the motor in. Then we took and blocked it all down with the block over our clear coat when this was still the original paint. And that showed us some of the low spots that we couldn't have caught just by hand. Then once we got all that block down, we did all of our filler that you saw, and now I have my urethane high build on here. Next step will be I'm going to pull these doors off, and I'll paint out my jambs, and then put the doors back on, and then paint the outside. Some people will paint that door off and jambs on and all at once. But the size of my booth and the jigging and stuff involved, I just don't have that, so I'm going to do it in 2 steps. Let me give you a little closer look at what I've got going here, and I'll show you a little bit about guide coating. This is what I mean about guide coating. If you've never seen any guide coating done, this is how you get one really, really slick. You can't always be able to visually see or feel all the dents and dings, but if you'll get a majority of it done, we go around and do all that filling so I can get it all up underneath this high build primer, and then come back with just black guide coat. And doesn't take much. You just do a light dusting over the whole vehicle, and that's gonna let you read the side of this car. So as I cut this down and I make all that guide coat go away, you can see exactly what's going on. Now I don't know if you can see it in that, but there's just a little bit of chattering and just a small amount of texture. Now when I sprayed this thing, I knew the body was pretty slick, so I shot my primer. I tried my best to shoot my primer as smooth and as even and as slick as possible. And if you do that, that saves you a lot of time in this part of it, because I'll have to sand until I get the grain or that texture out of it, and I have very little texture in it. So I've got 320 on here. I can go around this thing with it painted that slick, and it won't take me that long. And then once I got this sanded down, if it all comes out nice and slick, I'm ready to seal and paint this thing. Let me give you a little closer look on what's involved in taking my doors off. All right, being we are doing a color change, I'm going to have to remove these doors. So inside here, you can kind of see what's going to be involved here. I've got to get all the wiring out. If I remove that kick panel right there, there's a plug in there that I'll pull out, get all this out, take all this trim off, all the way around on both doors, and then I'll have to set all this up and prep all this and paint it and then reinstall it. Now I use this foam tape right here to stop that primer line. I'll do the same thing with my new paint, but I'm going to have new paint to about right here, and then I will put this primer line in a little bit, this tape line in a little bit better to where I can stop it about right there, and then I'll do just a little feather edge and buff, and I ought to have a pretty good blend. But all this interior is coming out. Looks pretty rough right now. We're going to recover the seats and put new carpet in it. And that's kind of where we're at on the street sleeper. You can see all the prime on it, all the masking involved. There's our hood, tailgate, bed cover. The bed cover's ready to paint. All this ready to block down. I'll give you a little closer look at my texture right here. You can see, like right here, you can see a little bit of that texture and grain, and we'll cut that on out. Get it to look like that right there, and then go back over it like some 400, and it'll be ready to paint. So I'm gonna go back over here and get on this Jaguar, and I will give you another update later.